Hi, CDFS 210. Welcome to week 6. We're going to be covering infancy and toddlerhood. So I think infants are really pretty spectacular. So I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about this topic. And I hope you enjoy reading the text, the Holden text, and the additional materials that I've provided. There's such a great deal of impact that happens during this time, and in particular the attachments that occur over the first 18 months of their lives, and that we know that those attachments impact how we are in our 30s and even into our 40s. We have read about attachment security several times already, but this week I want you to dig into the infant attachment theories. We are going to be able to discuss these categories because of someone named Mary Ainsworth. Ainsworth really is a pioneering woman in developmental psychology. She's among one of the first women to earn a PhD in psychology, and Bowlby, remember Bowlby, credits her analytical skills in writing for pulling the formal theory of attachment together. It's quite an accomplishment. Her most recognized contribution is creating the strange situation and how it can be used to classify children's attachment security. She developed the strange situation after ethnographic research on parenting practices in Uganda. In that research, she noticed that infants reacted differently to separations and reunions with their primary caregiver. She also noticed that when children were in unfamiliar environments, a strange situation, if you would, they would use their caregivers like a base from which they would explore the environment. Pulling those ideas together, Ainsworth created a laboratory procedure called the strange situation that involved a series of separations and reunions with caregivers, as well as the adding in a stranger in the room. In the weekly slides, or in our weekly context, I have provided a link to an example. I'm going to take a moment and pause for you to go and watch the video. The strange situation allows for children's attachment security to be classified as secure, insecure avoidant, and insecure ambivalent or resistant. There's also a categorizing of disorganized, which means the child may not have actually formed an attachment. The chapters we've read in the slides describe what these categories mean. Now take a moment and watch the next video clips. Key to determining if children will develop secure or insecure attachments is how available and responsive caregivers are. These are abstract concepts that parents must put into practical action. Availability reflects caregivers' ability to be an attachment figure. Responsiveness reflects how skillful caregivers are. For example, a caregiver hears their child crying in another room and rushes to the room. Thus, they're available, but they can't figure out why the child is crying, and they can't soothe the child. Over time, children recognize how available and how responsive their caregivers are, and by 9 to 10 months of age have developed a pattern of attachment security. You've seen many examples of this, whether it be in a video or movie that you've watched, in a TV show, and maybe even in your real life. As children grow into toddlerhood, they gain new cognitive, behavioral, and verbal skills that can make parenting easier. For example, toddlers can now tell you what they want. They do not need to be carried everywhere, although sometimes they really like to be, and they can better entertain themselves, sometimes. But also more challenging, toddlers start demanding autonomy without being fully ready for it. They are more emotional sometimes and have difficulty controlling those emotions, and they can actively resist parenting efforts. If you've ever been in the grocery store, Target, Walmart, any of the above, and you've seen a toddler decide that they are not going to do something, You see what happens in that situation. Attachment, security, availability, and responsiveness are still critically important during toddlerhood as they are during infancy. I'm going to provide some information about a series of longitudinal studies known as the Minnesota studies, where children were followed from infancy throughout the toddlerhood period. In actuality, the children wwere followed into their late 20s and early 30s. Those studies explored how attachment security impacted the experience of parenting during toddlerhood. Children with secure attachments had better development and experiences during toddlerhood. They were also easier to parent and did better in early childcare settings. The next few slides I want you to review on your own. I have also included a few more contextual items in the course information for your review. In addition, it has come to my attention that it's difficult for you to watch the YouTube video and then also cite the slides. It doesn't make sense for you to be counting slides while I'm speaking. So I will be using an attachment of a PDF for you to be able to review the slides. Nature versus nurture. This is an ongoing conversation. The next few slides will illustrate this debate. You can also review these on your own. Parenting proactive, parenting elicited, temperament. Children's temperament also shapes the experience of parenting infants and toddlers. The short video that's attached with Dr. Kagan describes how children's dispositions can make parenting easier or even more challenging. Children with more easygoing temperaments are easier to parent. They are less fussy, have fewer emotional outbursts, and are easier to soothe when upset. Please refer back to the parenting slide elicited for an example. Is it nature or nurture? Well, it's probably both.